Season 1 of 2025. Let's see what sort of adventures that it has in store. And pace cars way through the corner. That wasn't the crest doing him dirty.
There right off the beginning. It's something you probably want to monopolize on right away, honestly, in a rain race.
Involved in that as well. Godin, I believe, is a newer racer. Oh, and that's a big crash coming out of the corner. Right as I was mentioning all of those racers, that... We saw him have that off-track moment not terribly long ago, and he has come back from a... Oh my God, that's a big wreck coming out of turn number 4. Multiple cars around, a little bit of contact going to Chris Montgomery as well. I saw that car kind of jerk around a little bit through that corner, but you can see Montgomery maybe got to size up a move on Colacio, as Colacio may try and get a move on. That is 5-6 cars covered by just about nothing on this racetrack. Nearly 4 wide through the corner. Look at Colacio going in way deep into turn 5. He's going to lose out on that spot on Chris Montgomery and Colacio. Too low contact being... Weekly Formula V Weekend Warriors crash him up wreckfest at the checkered flag. May God have mercy on both Josh and I's graphics cards because the event does.
Well, hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome back to the Formula V Weekend Warriors. This is round number 5 of this season, coming to you today from VIR. My name is Ron Maunz. Alongside me, working the comms and the cams, is Joshua Wilkie. We head to the north layout of VIR, a track that, despite not getting a lot of use on the iRacing platform, has been a staple here for the Formula Vs for the past couple of seasons. This track, for some reason or another, always puts on some very good racing, maybe down to that massively long start-finish straightaway, creating a good draft opportunity for these drivers. But Josh, either way, no matter how you slice it, VIR always brings the thunder.
Yeah, definitely, Ron. VIR's got to be one of my favorite tracks. You know, we were talking a little bit in the run-up there just about this layout, and it's not a bad layout. I actually don't mind this one. You know, some of these kind of school courses or what have you just don't feel right at all. And this one's actually not too bad. It does have a bit of an abrupt right-hander sort of up a hill, but it's kind of a fun corner. You can sort of throw the car into it, and then after that you sort of have a bit of a snake going uphill. It's like the mini snake, I like to call it, kind of going up the hill there. And you sort of have to get that section pretty right. So there's a little bit of technicality to this one. There's a little bit of drafting going on as well. Yeah, I don't really mind this one at all. What do you think, Ron?
I think it's honestly a very fun racetrack. I've gotten a little bit of an opportunity to run around here in my time on iRacing. Really, a lot of the configurations here at VIR, because most people usually think, okay, yeah, you've got the main layout and that is all. But no, you've got this version, the North layout. We're kind of talking before we got this broadcast up and rolling about the grand layout of VIR, which uses an infield section, which basically looks like a very sad chicken nugget from the aerial view. That grand course, by the way, it's 4 miles and it has, I think, 32 turns in all. This track is still rather twisty, don't get it wrong at all. I think we're scratching over 20 in terms of the turns around here. Of course, iRacing, actually I say iRacing, don't want to get myself fired now. VIR and really most American racetracks, not very good at numbering corners. Why do we have a 5 immediately followed by a 5A here, and then you have a 6 and 6 that I just don't really understand. We also completely skip at turn 13 on every version of VIR except for the grand layout because the turn onto the backstretch. It's a long story, but a lot of turns around this north layout. I think it's some fun. Definitely get a mix of every single thing that VIR has to offer, including this small little narrow section, which feels like you're running on a country road. But these drivers looking not to get taken home in this race.
That was a good one. That was a good one. It does. That's a really good way to put it, Ron. It does kind of feel a little bit tacked on, but and also a very good comment there that even though it isn't the full layout of VIR, you sort of feel like you got a taste of all of VIR, even in the short little loop that it is here. And you know, I'm actually shocked that that 4-mile layout has 32 corners in it. That's wild. That is. I remember talking about it quickly there, just doing that track once or twice, and it's a bit of a mind bender. You sort of have to memorize every single corner on it to be fast, and it's not easy at all. This place is a pretty unique area. Beautiful as well.
Yeah, it is a very unique and absolutely fantastic circuit. Every single time we come to VIR, I always like to raise the video that the Virginia International Raceway YouTube channel posted of this track as it was back in 1997. It opened back in the 50s, was open until the 70s, and from then all the way up until the year 2000. Year 2000. I can't really do any sort of singing if anyone gets that old Conan O'Brien.
I do. I love that.
On a million jelly beans day before Easter. So happy early Easter to everybody who celebrates at there. But the track as it was back in the 80s and 90s completely abandoned. And there was a nice video of them running around this place in an old truck, an old beaten and battered truck running around here, and pretty fascinating looking at what is now a modern motorsports facility in pretty rough conditions. And you know, drawing from the real life racing world to a track not terribly far away from here, kind of saw a bit of a resurrection of another motorsports facility, Rockingham Speedway, the NASCAR Truck and Xfinity Series running there. In a matter of 10 years ago, the entire infield was completely grown out. Pretty fascinating seeing old racetracks that were at one point abandoned, completely overgrown, get that brand new life injected right into its veins and just bring the world of racing back. VIR, despite the fact that people like myself, who I was only born in 2004, so for all I've been alive, this track has just been a world-class motorsports facility, but for a while it was abandoned, so pretty nice to see this track still cooking it after coming back from the brink of death.
Yeah, it's really cool to see stuff like that. You know, I think probably almost every racetrack goes through at least one or two portions of its life where it's under threat by something or another, and it's always a group of passionate, like-minded individuals that seem to be able to come in and save it. And VR's got a pretty cool story like that for sure. It turned into basically a country club racetrack now, and it's gorgeous, beautiful place to go visit and to race as well. I've unfortunately never been there, but maybe one of these days I'll get out there. But you know, pretty cool stories around stuff like that as we're seeing kind of Wayne Buttermore here just hit that last corner. We saw Jason Green a moment ago really hugging the inside of the line there, just kind of showing us all every millimeter counts. You know, you're out there looking to try to shorten that track as much as you possibly can, as well as just take the lines fast and clean and get on the brakes and in the accelerator as proficiently as you can. It's also about hitting those marks and using absolutely every millimeter of the track.
Yeah, this is a sort of circuit, and doubly so considering we've run here just about one time every single season, dating back to, at the very least, Season 4 of 2024. So we've been coming here quite often. It is a fine track, but because there's so much experience that these drivers have running around here, you do have to be a bit more on your A game than compared to some of the other tracks that we may be visiting that aren't necessarily used as often as this one is. Still in the midst of this practice session, we'll note Alan Degas is currently your fastest driver here in practice, saying a 1 minute 41.100. That's a pretty good lap time in front of Tortolo, who did not show up for the first 3 races, but upon returning for the last round of the championship of the Saxon Ring, he brought the thunder and brings his #1 car into the barrier. We'll not look to try and replicate that in the race.
Yeah, it looks like he's probably just having some fun here. I think we'll jump on with Tor and see exactly what happened here. It looks like he's kind of setting it up. No, he's going to have some fun. Michelin. into the wall.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
Pretty fun stuff there.
Yeah, fun for him. Maybe not fun for the fabricator having to repair the back of that. That's straight on the gearboxes. That's a rather sickening impact. But actually, I think we'll do a quick little lap guide with Ethan Orr in the 22 car and follow him on a lap around this absolute gem of a racetrack, heading down into turn number 1. That is Horseshoe. Reminds me of the old Kevin Harvick quote about Jimmy Johnson. Now he had a golden horseshoe stuck up his butt. If you run into some difficulties into turn number 1, though, at the very start of this race, you will probably need that golden horseshoe to bring your way back up to the front. That's NASCAR Bend at turn number 3. We just saw Ethan Orr go through. Here is left hook of turn number 4. Can really punch these drivers at. That was terrible. I apologize. This is a 5 section. Turn 5 back there into 5A. This sends you right into the snake. This small little flat out blast may not seem like much, but turn 7 uphill that we're about to see here in a couple of moments' time. Decent overtaking opportunity, even if you may have to shove some of your competitors off if it gets a bit too dicey. Here is turn 7, uphill as it's called on the iRacing track map. Through the tight twisties, a slalom section on the back end of the circuit, as I like to say. Through 8 and 9 into turn number 10 right now. Kissing the apex now into turn number 11. That right there is turn 12. Rejoining the racetrack right about here into roller coaster. We completely skip out on the number 13 here. Don't want to bring some bad luck. Actually, they say don't want to bring some bad luck. Hey, I'm still here in the booth. That was roller coaster we just saw a couple of moments ago. This is a small little quick blast down into 16. Hit the curbs as best as you can and take that grip boost as you hit the uphill, coming through hog pen of turn number 17. That is a lap here of the VIR North layout, and outside the start finish straightaway, it's a rather hectic lap.
Yeah, it's definitely to get practicing here. I believe it was in the FF, and that section leading up the hill after the big, kind of sharp right-hander, you can sort of throw the car into. It was a kind of great way to put it there. You're saying kind of driving down a country road. It does feel a little bit pieced together. There's some kind of lines you have to cross over that you don't feel like you should be crossing over. Like you're kind of going through sideways through a parking lot or something for a moment, but you got to get that section just right, and you need to use that little overage of the track there just right and stuff as well. So you've really got to hit your marks around here, just like the full layout. And it's got a lot of little elements there that aren't going to be easy for the drivers today. You're really going to have to play with the people around you and stuff. This coming up here into that right-hander, probably going to be the best, second best passing opportunity, I'd say, on the track. Ethan Orr just coming into it now. You get a little bit of a rip down here, just long enough to get yourself up beside somebody and try to make a pass. And you got to get it right, though, or man, you'll just be so slow through this section. You need such a good pull there.
And the checkered flag out here in practice. These drivers are about to get launched into that qualifying session. Solo session. These drivers have 4 laps to try and get the job done in the next 15 minutes. But as we are still in this small little lull in the action, I will let you know that this week's broadcast of the Formula V Weekend Warriors on Slow Motion Broadcasting is sponsored by Formula V Ingenuity. Located in Central Illinois, Formula V Ingenuity specializes in Formula V engines, race car prep, rentals, as now the new home of Roxanne's Headers. Head on over to formulav.com for more info. That's the number 4 MULAVEE.com. We would like to thank Formula V Ingenuity and Brian Szynski for making today's broadcast here on Slow Motion Broadcasting possible. Thank you to him, and thank you to all the drivers who have thrown their support behind these Weekend Warriors broadcasts. I've always adored doing these Formula V shows ever since I started picking them up back in the summer of last year. And Josh, it's always a blast doing these, as we have now done for the past 2.5 seasons at this point. Holy cow, time flies when you're having fun. But the Weekend Warriors, one of the best communities on the iRacing platform, the Formula V community, absolutely no exception to the rule. I'm a little bit bummed out, if I am being completely honest. These drivers have a Friday night draft party that they usually organize. They just take the track that they're running at that certain week, and then have a small little fun race on Friday nights. I have occasionally shown up to some of those, sometimes just life getting in the way, other times my back pain getting in the way, back in the earlier stages of this year. Then I was like, hell yeah, I can hit the track for these Formula V draft parties, get a good idea as to how these drivers are going to tackle the race the following day. And then I picked up a Friday night broadcast, a commitment that I'll basically run every single week from, actually started last week, and it's going to run all the way through to Halloween. So sadly, I don't think I'm going to be out there on track for the Formula Vs, but hey, with that money, at least I'll be able to get some better sim racing equipment out of it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You want to put that towards some gear. love buying sim racing gear. I'm a little addicted to it, actually. And yeah, spare money is definitely where that stuff goes for sure. We'd love to see you back in the chair, though, man. I'd love to see you out there racing, Ron. And definitely, you know, to parrot some of your sentiment there. Love doing these things on Saturdays. This is one of my favorite days of the week, just because I get to do V's every Saturday morning for me, or I guess it's just afternoon for me now, but I love doing these, man. It's been great. It's actually kind of hard to believe that it's been 2 seasons already. I can't even believe that. It feels like we just started doing this. You're right. It really has been a good time, and yeah, really looking forward to doing more of these, man. This is good times.
Yeah, we're going to keep the good times rolling as these drivers looking to set some good times here in this qualifying session. That was awful. This is going to be fun, though, and a really important session as well. I raised this point earlier on in the practice session, talking about that was such a bad pun. Oh, that was about as... I think there are wheels of Parmesan that are less cheesy than that. But going back to the point I was raising in practice, talking about how these drivers are going to look to try and nail the time as best as they can. It's a track that a lot of these drivers have multi-seasons of experience running around. And some of these drivers you'll see out there on the racetrack have probably either definitely seen a race at VIR, in like a real-life race here at VIR, or have even competed in some of them, considering some of these drivers are real-life racing drivers in their own regard. So I wonder with this oh boy, worst time to get a hiccup. I wonder with this qualifying session if this will have even more importance than some of the other rounds, just because of the fact the field's going to be so close with that high level of experience.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Anytime that there's a track that the drivers are comfortable with, I always like to, you know, when I'm going into a race, basically the way I look at it is, if I'm confident with the place, I'm going to have a bit of a harder time, because I'm going to be out there pushing, sort of expecting, like, I'm probably faster than him into that corner. If it's sort of a new track, or I'm not totally confident with the track, then, you know, sometimes the result's actually better, just because you're not really expecting anything. You're out there sort of learning some lines. You don't take as many risks as you might usually take. And to your point, Rowan, I think everybody knows this track really well, and they've been out there, you know, they've done a lot of laps around here, either on the full layout or even via itself. And that's when you start to expect things of yourself. You expect speed. You expect yourself to be able to hit that corner faster than everybody else. You expect yourself to be able to brake a little harder than the guy beside you, and that might, you know, that might cause some wheels connecting and stuff like that. And that's usually the way it goes with a track that everybody's really up to speed with, Ron. So yeah, that's a good point to make, and I think you're correct on that one. We're going to see some pretty tight battles today.
I'm looking through the remaining schedule that we've got here from the Formula V Weekend Warriors. Lots of tracks that have played host to some good Formula V races in the past. I know you're always a fan of Lebanon that we'll actually be visiting for the next round of this championship. Laguna Seca was the site of the second ever Formula V Weekend Warriors broadcast here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. I remember doing that with our old pal Chief Meow Meow himself, Mr. Adam Thompson, and that was the first time him and I worked together on the air. And as I described on the racing line a couple of weeks ago, that was basically the beginning of him and I acting like murder and accessory on the air, because, oh boy, that from meowing to random references that I will not utter yet again, just for the simple sake that we are getting to the point where SMB may potentially be monetized. Stay tuned for that.
We're getting there, yep.
Yeah, we're certainly making progress. Thank you to all of you who have subscribed here to Slow Motion Broadcasting, now at 1,011 subscribers. Holy cow. We are really enjoying all the support and really appreciating it as well. Got a nice aerial view of this absolute gem of a motorsports facility. You can see a little bit of that inner layout around here, which I believe makes up the Patriot course, is how iRacing likes to call it. I'm gonna be really looking forward to the starting grid when we get that graphic up, because I remember last season with some of the scenic views that we had, you could just see an abyss, which used to be Oak Tree. I guess that turned into a lake last season, so hopefully that will not be the case this time by. I know it was a thunderstorm that took at the original Oak Tree. Fingers crossed we will not have a lake formed there, even outside the racetrack. That does not seem like a very ideal situation, but these drivers saying their lap times on the board, and let's see how it's shaking out at the present moment. Some more drivers setting their time, 4 laps allowed for these racers, and it's currently Jason Green, our provisional pole sitter, a 1 minute 41.663. Felix Samo is right behind though at a 1 minute 41.695. You could get a little bit closer, but I don't think these drivers could if they tried.
Yeah, that's really close around here for sure. And then even, you know, Coliseo and Orr right behind them. And then DeGassis even closer to Orr. And Montgomery is close to Orr as Felix is to Coliseo, and so on and so forth, all the way down the line here. You know, I just want to touch on something quickly. iRacing, please give us a layout with the oak tree back. You can do it. You're a simulator. You can put that oak tree in there. There can be some sap on the ground. Let's get it done so we can race with that oak tree at the end, at the hairpin. My goodness, would that ever be cool. I miss that tree so much. I'm kind of surprised that they didn't do it, that we don't have a layout with the oak tree, but hopefully someday they will put it in here. But Felix Samoa is at the top. Looks like you just put in another one there, Ron. Kind of class of the field here above Jason Green. Wow, that's a quick one.
Yeah, that is a very good lap time from Felix Samoas. He's been quick here in the Weekend Warriors. I mean, it's a reigning champion in the spec race for Forza and has done well in these FVs for a very good reason. And let's see how it's going to shake out. He actually grabbed the pole for the second race of the season at Magny Core and is currently top in front of Jason Green, who is our best qualifier thus far this season with a pole position at Cadwell Park and Summit Point. So I wonder if these odd races are just going to help out Jason and he can grab his third pole of this season here for the 5th round of this championship. And looking through some of the other classes, Alan DeGassis, quick in that practice session earlier on, finds himself the quickest of the Masters racers as it stands presently. He was actually our Masters pole sitter for the 3rd round at Summit Point and is looking pretty good at the moment. Meanwhile, in Spec 2, Parvinder Ladar, who also picked up a pole at Summit Point in the Spec 2 class, is currently slotted in P8. For that pole at Summit Point, he actually started that race in P5 overall, which was matched by Russell Telker last week at the Saxon Ring. So looking like we may have a bit more of a Spec 1 dominated top 5 as they are all Spec 1 racers. Ethan Orr jumping up to second a few moments ago. But getting back to the point I was going to raise, Spec 1 drivers seeming to flex their muscles at the moment.
Yeah, it looks like it. I'm wondering, maybe is that just because this place is a little bit more technical? Maybe people like Felix Simons, Ethan Orr, Jason Green, so on and so forth there. You know, kind of technicians when it comes to this stuff. They're definitely pretty much the class of the field here in the V's. It's always sort of the top 3 or 4 there. Speaking of drivers in the series here, we'd actually have a new one in Spencer. I believe that's Bedouin here. I don't believe he's been with us before. If he has, it's been a while. So welcome to the series here, Spencer. And we're just on board with him doing a lap. Looks like he's from Canada as well. So I got another Canadian in the mix here. He's in about 20th place right now, trying to find his speed out there. We'll see if he can't put another lap in. But at the moment, like you're saying, Ron, Spec 1's kind of class of the field here. Holy cow, top 5.
Oh, we've got another Canadian in the field. If you start referencing Wayne Gretzky quotes, I swear to God, he's currently qualified in 20th at the present moment in the 513 car.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. I think that was his best quote. Beautiful quote.
Yeah, see, I wish the Flyers could just embody a 10th of Wayne Gretzky. Otherwise, I think they probably, if they did, they probably would have won a championship since 1975. Let's see how the driver of the 513 car does in this lap. I believe he may have had a trip through the grass and a trip through pit lane. So that could be part of the reason why he was 15 seconds slower on that lap. Still in 20th as it stands presently. That is not, actually, I believe it was a slight drop off in pace. I was looking. Oh boy, the first time I've ever had a. I'm belching. My apologies, folks. But Bedoin, actually no, Bedouin. There we go. I don't know where I got Bedoin from. That's the sound made when someone's hopping up and down on a mattress. So,
that was a good one. I like that. Yeah, I believe it's Bedouin.
My most butchered name pronunciation ever. That's saying something.
Bedoin. Yeah, that's a good one for sure. Yeah, it looks like you know, he didn't better that one. I believe he put in a 142.9 there on. So it was I think, yeah, as you were about to say there, you just kind of caught your eye on a different time there. But no, he wasn't able to go faster. So he's out there figuring out the car. I would imagine first round with us. Not sure how much experience he has, but we'll find out pretty soon here in the race. This isn't going to be as we see Ethan Orr kind of losing it there a little bit. Yeah, it's going to be an easy one. You know, you're going to have to kind of survive this race as well, as we always do. But some of these tracks are, you know, worth a little more survival than others, let's say. It's not necessarily going to be the easiest thing in the world to make the end of this race and get the passes done that you need to get done, or or as well, actually let people by sometimes, is one of those options you need to take. Every once in a while you need to go, all right, just let them by so you can finish the race. But we'll see how it plays out there.
Yeah, you reach a certain point where just some battles aren't worth winning, and I think these drivers will have moments like that coming up. Flashing back to some of the previous races that we've had here at VIR North for the Formula V Weekend Warriors, my mind harkens back to when our colleague Mr. Adam Thompson just knocked the crap out of the wall heading through turn number 2. I think it was 3 wide action coming out Horseshoe that just went desperately wrong, and as a result, it was a rather big collision that broke up the pack towards the north end of the field in that race. So may end up seeing that rear its head today. Who knows? We still have 30 minutes of racing action in front of us. There's a lot that can happen. One of the trees can fall onto the racetrack. That happened at Bathurst once, I do recall. We could have an asteroid strike down, so really rubbing salt into the wounds. First off, actually, no, what would happen if an asteroid struck Oak Tree? Would they have to rename the corner? Because, I mean, the Oak Tree is already
Asteroid?
gone. Because, I mean, at Snetterton, they have a section called Bomb Hole.
Yeah, I would imagine that was because World War II, there was probably a massive bomb hole there. So, I find it funny the literal names of some of these corners. You got Bomb Hole because there was a bomb hole. You got Oak Tree because there's an oak tree. You got Forest Elbow because some Australian guy whacked his elbow almost off in Forest Elbow. They're very, very literal names. I love it though. You know what I don't like actually is when there just isn't a track name, when it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They really should just kind of name the corners, most of them. Some of them, but silly though.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of, we could come up with some corner names. That would probably just come from some of the stuff that I've said on the air. So I guess the exit of turn 1 at the Red Bull Ring would be Gabba Gabba Dammit Corner. If anyone was tuning into the Formula V broadcast last week, yes, I did channel my inner Fred Flintstone. We're actually getting a lawsuit from his lawyer named Fred Flintstone.
Hanna-Barbera.
That was absolutely foul, yeah.
Oh, no.
I don't know what it is.
Oh boy.
I guess it's because of the fact that I like full transparency, folks. After this broadcast is done, I'm gonna have to jump over and do another one, and that's going to be for a charity race. So I won't shout out any other broadcasts unless it was a charity race like this one will be. So I guess maybe it's just me switching my brain or something. I don't know. Maybe I whacked my head in my sleep. I'm just being extra goofy here today. Jesus Rodriguez, though, looking to set a good time. You can see he's tracking pretty good at the moment in the number 76 car, and not the best line hang down that start-finish straightaway. That will be a lap time in the stages of this qualifying session. Not sure. He may have gotten invalidated in all of that. So Jesus Rodriguez with a time, what it is ain't exactly clear, and where he will be starting is clear, that being right towards the back.
Yeah, it looks like, yeah, that was kind of odd down the straight there. It looked like maybe he was adjusting something in his cockpit or something there. He's just getting ready for it. It doesn't look like he was really able to get a time in. Maybe he was just late today. So we'll be watching him to move forward here just behind Wayne Buttermore in the lineup. But it looks like we got a grid coming, Ron.
Yep, that we do. The starting grid coming up for the 5th race of this Formula V Weekend Warriors season. That's going to be the Portuguese man Felix Samoas starting from the pole. We'll have Tortolo lining up on that front row. Jason Green will start in 3rd. Ethan Orr running out your 2nd row. We have Nate Coliseo starting in 5th. Alan DeGassis in 6th, your top starting Masters racer in this event. Starting in P7 is going to be Chris Montgomery. Parvinder Lador starting right behind the Masters pole sitter is going to be your Spec 2 pole sitter in 8th. We have Trent Kramer starting in 9th, and Jim Brewster rounding out our top 10.
Yeah, and then we have, I believe, sponsor of today's race, Brian Shazinski, so thank you very much for that. Michelle Lynn, admin of the FEs in P12. In P13, we have Dan Shazinski. P14, Russell Telker. P15, Kurt Nunez in the Masters class. Guido, we have the fart machine in P16, I've been meaning to say that for a while. In 17th, we have Hank Mele. Scott Brayler in 18th, 19th, we got Jeff Jacobson and Brian Hansen in 20th.
Then looking through the drivers outside of the top 20, we have Spencer. I keep blanking on it's Spencer.
Bowden.
Yeah, we'll get it right. We'll go. Yeah, we'll get it.
Let's put it that way.
Spencer Bedoing, as I said a couple of moments ago, will start this race in 21st alongside in P22. It's going to be Nick Tullo. Travis Real will start in 23rd. Michael Lattarulo will start in P24. And looking through the rest of the drivers that we have in this field, we have Joshua Flores in 25th, Chris Scriven in 26th, Thomas Padua starting this race in 27th, Fredo Dumont in 28th, Jason Greider in 29th, Wayne Buttermore starting this race in 30th, Jesus Rodriguez and Mario Pacon set to round out your 32 car grid, and this would be the time. Okay, I think my intuition was correct there. We do have 32 starters in this race, and all of them have taken to this formation lap, so actually got it right there. So here we go. This is going to be a good one at VIR. This track never disappoints. These cars never disappoint. And for the 5th round this season, these drivers looking to end off the first half as best as they possibly can and just get some wins in their back pockets as well. It's a long wait until we get that green flag out, but that green flag is now out and the drivers are on their way. That's a brilliant start from Felix Samoas. Ethan Orr looking to get dicey, looking at Jason Green as well in the 160 car. Maybe going to try and get some moves done on his old championship adversary of Tortello, but hang down to turn number 1. It's side-by-side racing, not involving your leader of Felix Samoas, but pretty much involving everybody else as they exit their way out of the horseshoe. That turn, usually the spot where trouble can brew, but looks like the entirety of the field has gone through there clean.
Yeah, looks like we got a pretty clean first corner here so far. One of the more difficult ones on this track when you have so many cars for sure, but you know, these guys have been racing each other for the whole season, so we should be fairly clean here. You know, they should know who's who and where they should kind of be at this point. We did have a little side-by-side going there. We'll see how it looks into the right-hander here. I think we're pretty single-filed out at this stage, Ron. Pretty impressed here so far. Not a whole lot of squabbling quite yet.
Yeah, these drivers not squabbling up in the early stages, which I think may be the smart strategy call. That's Szynski, though, running wide, heading through uphill out of turn number 7. That's going to cause him to lose just 1 spot. Certainly could have been worse, but mind you, it could have been a lot better for Szynski as Scott Brailer in the 210 car blew his metaphorical doors off. Coming out of that section, looking at the drivers a little bit farther in the back. Pretty much everyone has gone through the first lap cleanly, well, at least thus far into the first lap. Still have a few more corners left to go. Felix Samoa, though, going to lead them out of Hog Pen for the first time, and we're going to get the first good view as to how this race is going to be. That game of Formula V leapfrog, as we like to coin it, going to play out yet again. I think Jim Brewster just got struck by a falling anvil. He's had to tow back to pit lane in the 933 car. Oh, no. Not sure what happened there, but here's a side-by-side fight involving Nate Colasio and Trent Kramer. Here's a 3-wide fight involving Green Tullo and Samoa's hang down to turn number 1. Tortello off the back of his season-opening win 1 week ago at the Saxon Ring after missing out on the first part of the season. He's coming back with a vengeance, and he's down the race lead.
Yeah, we got a bit of a scrum going on here now. I was expecting that sort of, you know, as soon as I said, hey, things are looking kind of straight, you know, nose to tail, I'm thinking, you know, this first lap or coming into the second lap here, they're going to be down that big front straight and things are going to start to mix up. And I think we're going to see that every lap now, and it's going to just be about trying to get that pass done, keep the speed up, and make that first corner over and over and over again. As we're seeing here on my ticker, we got a couple people going off track and stuff. We'll have to have a quick look back here at some of that, but so far we're looking pretty clean here. We'll have go back and see what happened to Jim. Unfortunately, it looks like he got knocked out there.
Yeah, I think he may not be alone. He's rejoined the race, albeit down in 31st. Thomas Pauda in the 913 car, the Masters driver, I believe, making a series debut, unless I'm very much mistaken. He's run into some difficulties as well. He's had to tow back too. Here's a moment potentially involving Mario Pacone in the 227 car. Started this race a little bit farther towards the back, and look at that. That is a spin in between 2 and 3. Loses it. That's not a big moment, but still a moment nonetheless. Here's Brewster, the series admin, who already has a win thus far this season in the Masters class. In fact, he has 2, unless I'm very much mistaken. You can see him heading his way through the snake section here. No harm, no foul yet. Got Chris Montgomery right in front, and I have a feeling turn 7 may have been what called Jim Brewster's name and sent him off the circuit. Let's have a look at it here. Coming out of there, still fine. I wonder if it was through the Titan twisties.
Yeah, we're going to have to come to that one.
Yeah.
See if I can get closer to it. I was going to try to hold with it there to see, but it looks like maybe it was actually the following lap. So I will try to find that. We got a bit of a shake-up here at the front door run.
Yeah, looking at the north end of the field, Jason Green now finds himself in the race lead. Tortolo slot in second. Felix Samoa is running at her podium at side-by-side between Nate Colacio and Ethan Orr for the final spots inside of the top 5. That is some close quarter stuff to be sure. Trent Kramer, Alan DeGassis, and Chris Montgomery running at this front pack fight, and it's actually breaking up a teeny tiny bit with all that side-by-side racing. Samoa's, Tolo, and Green in P3, P2, and P1 respectively. They may be breaking away at the present moment. We'll have to keep tabs on that if they can fully break away and form their own peloton. But here's a replay of the 3-wide action that we saw between these racers. Samoa is the first to back out of it. I think Jason Green just had a huge head of speed heading down into turn number 1, swipes across to the inside, and he's going to get the move done.
Yep, he was able to make that happen pretty easily, and you can see the each of the drivers out there in the front are definitely giving each other some room there. They're thinking about it. They're okay, where am I going to slot in? Nope, I'm not going to take that big open gap right there because it's probably going to cause death, that sort of thing. And, they're really, you can tell they're being cerebral up front here. So looking for a good race up front. I would imagine these 5, 6, 7, 8 drivers here will probably be there close to the end. And if they don't race too hard, we got Michelle in, and it looks like, I believe that's Guido Marzucci just kind of back there lingering, waiting for a mistake up here front to grab, see if they can't get closer, as well as Brian Straczynski, I believe, is just back there in the background as well.
And this is definitely like a little bit of internal talk, but I will share this because I feel like Guido would be disappointed if I didn't. Mr. Marzucchi sent me a rather long thing to potentially read on today's show.
I saw that.
Just had a rule. If Marzucchi wins a race this season, I will read that on the air in full.
There we go. I like that.
And if he wins the race, I'm trying to think of another rule. I don't know, if he does something special in the process, like a spin and win or something like that, I will read that in a southern accent, which strangely enough I can do surprisingly well. I don't know what it is. This is coming from someone who's lived in the city of Philadelphia for the entirety of their life. So I don't know why I can do this very easily, but for some reason I just can't. So if you ever hear this voice, it's very likely that I have been replaced by my own alter ego of Chip Quisley. So there you go right there, folks. But the battle up at the front, still very tense. I think something's going on involving Spencer. Yeah, there you can see.
Oh,
that's
boy.
the moment. Straczynski may have gotten involved in all of that as well.
Yeah, it looks like we were having a pretty bad blinking in and out there for Nate Colacio on that camera. We apologize for that, but it looks like we have had... Oh, boy,
Kramer.
that was close. That was a real close one as well. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, Trent Kramer just shot off the racetrack heading through Hog Pen. He looked like he got a Saturn V rocket stuck to the back of that race car and fired off into the barrier. He's had to tow. Here's a run from Colacio. He's going to look to go from 5th to 1st and 1 straightaway. Holy cow. Heading down into turn number 1, Colacio in the 8 machine. The Chiquita Banana car looking to slip his way up to the front, and I think he'll be able to do it unless Tortolo has anything to say about it. We may need to take a look at a replay of that because Colacio, talk about having a Saturn V rocket attached to the back of that race car. He was not able to go from 5th to 1st and 1 straightaway, but my God, he got close.
Yeah, this was quite the run here, wasn't it? He was able to kind of just pick through everybody here. Let's see, it looks like the opening up for him. He's just going to go straight up the middle with a massive run. All of those cars breaking the draft in front of him, and he's able to do it actually kind of from the outside here as well. Seeing that line work pretty well for Jason Green earlier as well. You can kind of take this a bit wide and just really use that momentum off the corner to get some speed down into the next corner here. But yep, we made that one happen, Ron. That was a pretty good pass.
Yeah, that was a very nice move. Nonetheless, though, the driver's still close up at the front of the field. It's now a 7-car pack, covered by practically nothing. You can see them running nose to tail, heading their way out of the Time Twisties into Roller Coaster right now. Already have some traffic to deal with. I believe that's Frederick Dumont in the 422 car that they're going to be catching up to in a couple of moments. Lap traffic, as much as you usually won't think about that in these Formula V races, considering some of the drama that may go down and how short this racetrack is as well, you're going to see something like that rear its ugly head. I think for the drivers at the front of the field, they will have to deal with that sooner rather than later. For now, though, Colacio looking to make hay while the sun is shining. Get moved on Tolo side by side down that start finish straightaway into Horseshoe. How's this going to work out for Colacio? Will he be able to sweep around the outside, or is Tolo just going to defend that spot on the inside, side by side between between Samoas and Green. Ethan Orr looking to pick up some action in all of that as well. Coliseo going to get the run out of turn 1 to take the race lead.
Yeah, man, he is fighting up there. I'm really liking to see this dicing back and forth. A super clean racing up at the front here as they are catching some lap traffic. I cannot find what happened to Jim Brewster here, unfortunately. There does not seem to be any kind of a warning as to what happened. It's just he entered the pit lane and then all of a sudden everybody passed him. So I'm not sure if he had a disconnection or something like that, but we're not going to be able to figure that one out. There has been a few other little incidents here that we'll try to catch up to, but there's just so much action going on right now. It's hard to pull away from it. So let's maybe have a look back at Michelle Lynn here in our Spec 2 class leader at the moment, who's been able to get her way by Guido Marzucci. Brian Straczynski not too far behind them, so definitely still a battle going on in Spec 2 here on.
Yes, still a close battle between those two racers. You can see Marzucchi and Lynn nose to tail. That's not a battle for class spot, but that is still a battle for position nonetheless. We'll note that Parviner Ladar, who started this race from the Spec 2 pole, found himself in lucky number P13, but the driver really catching my attention is a driver right behind him, Jesus Rodriguez, the champion from season 3 of 2024, has had not really the rub of the green as of recent, but was able to break through and grab a win a couple of weeks ago. Finds himself in 14th at the moment, which, considering he started all the way outside of the top 30, is a really impressive run from the 76.
Yeah, absolutely. He's made up a bunch of places already, and I expect him to make up some more as well. So 17 places up from his start, as we're just, again, just to fill everybody in. There is position changing up at the front. It's going to happen every single lap here, back and forth, and we will catch up to it as much as we can. We got all kinds of little races going. No, we talked about it for too long, Ron. What happened there? I like to not think that we actually have an ability to curse people, but every once in a while, you just got to kind of shake your head and wonder, don't you?
Well, now, here's the difference, Josh. You don't have the ability to jinx drivers. I do. And I've done it way too many times. I start to feel bad for these racers after a while. That's also part of the reason why I have had my legal name changed so people cannot find me. Ron Maunz is not my actual name. It's on
Oh, really? It's your, gotcha, your handle.
It's a stage name. Yeah, there we go.
Right on. I like that. Maybe I should come up with a handle. Maybe it is my handle, actually. Yeah, maybe we'll just say that's my handle. There we go. It's not my real name either. But up at the front here, Coliseo, again, able to kind of get to the front in that Chiquita Banana car past Tortolo. So they've kind of been going back and forth the last couple laps. Samoes and Ethan Orr just kind of dangling in the back here as well, with Jason Green, Alan DeGassis in the Masters class. Also not too far behind here. And it looks like they're starting to catch some more lap traffic here on. So hopefully we'll be able to get them out of the way, or they'll get out of the way cleanly here and not mess up the front race here too much, and they can get around them. But we're going 3 wide here again into T1.
And let's see how this is going to shake out. These drivers certainly running a dangerous game with how often they're going side by side, playing with fire potentially. Who knows? Let's see if any of these drivers have their eyebrows burnt off between now and the checkered flag. Jason Green, he's dropped down to P5, but again, these Formula V races, if you are leading from start to finish, or you tell people that you lead these races from start to finish, you're a liar.
Yeah, that's probably true, isn't it? It's definitely true. We're seeing a lot.
Yep. There we go. We got copy on you. So, hello, Mr. Wilkie. Yep. Got a copy on you.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. My mic actually died. I'll let you continue on there for a minute while I sort this out.
Yeah, so I'll start singing some sea shanties. As that was a beautiful camera angle, you can just see the ominous honey bucket there in the woods. That sounds like the name of a really bad country song. Maybe one I'll end up writing, who knows. Benet Coliseo finds himself in the race lead, up 4 spots from where he started in this race. Despite the commentator's jinx falling anvil striking Jesus Rodriguez right on the top of his head, he still finds himself up 12 spots, so he is a hard charger for now. Knowing my luck, though, I just jinxed it. He's going to get struck by not a falling anvil, but a falling asteroid, so I apologize in advance. 3 wide, back up in the front of the field between Tortolo, Felix Moes, and Nate Coliseo. Coliseo holding on to that inside line. The cards are in his hands, side by side right behind them, involving Jason Green and Ethan Orr. This is going to end in tears if these drivers don't start to settle down. We haven't even hit the halfway mark in this race, and we've probably had about 100 passes in the top 7 alone, and it's still continuing on all throughout the field. This is a pack involving Michael Lattarulo. He's had a pretty good race at the moment. Finds himself running with Nick Tullo, himself, Travis Rail, Hank Mell, and Joshua Flores. 5 cars covered by practically nothing. If that was a sight to describe Formula V racing, I think I messed up the saying.
We were getting at here. We got a definite scrum of cars here. I'm going to stick with these guys for a little bit, actually, and give them a little bit of airtime here, because they are in a pretty good pack. It looks like, I have a feeling some stuff is going to shake out here pretty soon. We got, what is it here? Laturo up front, Nick Tullo, Hank Melee, who we're watching right now, kind of pulling up the rear here a little bit. And I have a feeling, that's kind of the best position to be in these situations, where you can kind of just observe what's going on in front of you a little bit. He does have some pressure from behind here, but he's able to sort of just observe what's going on in front and maybe monopolize on it, as long as you don't get too close to the action and get caught up in it, as he's doing right now. He's getting a little bit pointy. So you want to just come put some pressure on the people in front of you, so maybe they make a mistake, but not enough that they make a mistake right on. We're talking, maybe I can curse people. Apparently, yeah. My powers are growing. They're getting stronger as I continue to commentate. My cursing powers are getting stronger, but it seems that he was able to kind of sort that out, but did lose a bit of time.
Yeah, I think you may have now officially grown the ability to be able to jinx drivers, but the front of the field, Nate Coliseo getting shuffled back. He's going to find himself in 7th. I think there may have been some light fisticuffs to break out, heading down into turn number 1. Tolo, Samoas, Green, or DeGassis, Montgomery, and Coliseo all still covered by nothing, but Coliseo getting shuffled out and all of that. Some side-by-side racing going on involving Michael Lattarulo and Nick Tullo. That's going to be a heads-up fight between those 2 racers. Practically nothing between them. Side by side yet again. Lattarulo, the Spec 2 driver, trying to get a move done on Tullo, the Masters driver. This is still very close quarter stuff. Alan Degas is still your Masters leader. Kurt Nunez, your 2nd place runner in the Masters category, found himself all the way down in 12th. That Masters category a little bit broken up as it stands at the present moment. A little bit breaking up, I don't think is anything that is grammatically correct, but again, it's coming from my mouth on a broadcast. Can you really expect any better?
We get the point across, I think, and that's what matters. You do a bang-up job, Ron. Especially how much talking you have to do today. You might want to actually save a little bit of that for later on. You're gonna need it. We definitely appreciate your efforts around here. We're just seeing a move get done here. I think maybe we actually already peeped that, but nice little move there going into T2, T3. Got it done pretty easily. See if we can't find exactly what happened up front here as well. It looked like there was a pretty big scrum sort of mid-track. I think maybe there was a pass that got done here into the right-hander by Jason Green on Felix Samoas, and yeah, looks like it's going to be a fairly easy one here as well. So definitely some racing going on out there all over the track.
Yes, still some drivers battling tooth and nail all around this circuit. Tortolo, he's looking in his rearview mirror, seeing these drivers go side by side 3 wide. He's like, okay, I want to get the hell away from this. Can you necessarily blame him? It's still some close quarter stuff. They call Coliseo, as much as he got shuffled out, he's still within striking distance in all of this. As we're going to take a look at a replay to see what happened to Coliseo. Holy golly, they nearly went 4 wide, hang down to turn number 1. Samoas went a little bit deep in the braking zone, and that was the contact that shuffled Coliseo out.
Yeah, it looked like Ethan Orley actually considered driving into the grass to get by Coliseo for a moment, and then thought better of it. So that was a good move on his point, but. Yeah, it looks like Samoas just kind of blew a little bit wide there and used Coliseo as a bumper to keep him on track. Not his fault at all. That was just a racing incident, and everybody's still in play another day here, so that's good. Coliseo still has a chance to catch back up. We did see him make that big 5-car overtake down the front straight, so we know he can get stuff like that done. He's still in the race here as we have Tortolo out front, just kind of trying to keep Jason Green off him, and I have a feeling that's not going to work for too much longer going into T1 here.
And let's see how it's going to shake out down the start finish straightaway yet again. Turn 1 has been the site of a vast majority of the overtakes thus far in this race. It's the usual case when it comes to races here at VIR, especially in the FVs. 3 wide yet again. We can't say we're surprised. If I had $1 for every single time I saw this, I'd probably be able to buy one of these race cars myself. Jason Green, Felix Samoas, Tortello battling tooth and nails if it's a final lap of the race, heading down to turn number 1 for the 12th time in the past 19 minutes, and it's going to be Samoas and Green side by side on corner exit, heading down into turn number 2. Samoas holding on to that inside line, and he's going to be able to take this race lead. Well done to Samoas. All these drivers running involved in this 4-car pack that's now at the front of the field, with the likes of Montgomery, Colicio, and DeGassis dropping down a little bit. They all have a fantastic shot of winning this race. Felix Samoas, Jason Green, Tortello kind of go with that saying. Ethan Orr as well, yet to grab a win as a Spec 1 driver, but flashing our minds back to the Thruxton race 1 season ago, I believe it was actually for the 5th round of Season 1 of 2025, he was able to grab the win overall as a Spec 2 driver. So all 4 of the drivers at the front of the field have experience winning in this series in recent seasons. Even Chris Montgomery, Nate Colicio have experience winning some races overall too.
Yeah, you definitely... quite the pack of characters there up front. Any one of them could take a race. We know they're all definitely capable race-winning drivers for sure, which always makes things, super interesting. And you're going to get them just jockeying for position every single lap. They're going to be going tooth and nail into the first corner. So we're kind of watching Joshua Flores here, trying desperately here to make some time up on Hank Mele. Travis Rail just in front of them, so they're up in the Spec 2 class. He's going to maybe go back here and check on our new driver of Spencer Bedwin, not having the very best race this time. Not exactly sure what happened to him. We're going to go back here. It looks like maybe he's had a bit of an incident. I think maybe he had one earlier on as well. This may be the second one that he's had that's kind of put him into this position, but let's just see kind of what happens with him and Jim Brewster here.
Yeah, let's take a look at it here. I think unfortunately my replay is slightly bent here.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
I'll pass
So
it back off to you, Josh.
yeah, so I think pretty much what happened there is he's honestly just trying to drive as respectfully as he can with Jim Brewster, and he gave him a ton of room into the right-hander there, and just was kind of lost it a little bit on the outside, trying not to really turn the screws on Jim too hard. So Spencer out there kind of getting used to the car. I believe he's had a couple falling anvils here since the beginning of the race, so that's probably why he's so far back. So we'll have to give him another couple rounds here to see where we slot him in, if he's going to be closer to the top of the Spec 2s or end up being a Spec 1 driver. But back to the front here with Tortello, Felix, Jason Green, Ethan Colicio, Montgomery, DeGassis, and is that Marzucci now along there as well?
I think Marzucchi may be a little bit farther back. It's about 4.7
yep.
seconds between DeGassis and Marzucchi, but the drivers at the front will be catching up some lap traffic here soon. That I believe, unless I'm very much mistaken, will be, I think it potentially may be Bedwin, although you don't quote me on that. I think it may end up being the driver of the 513 car. Not 100% sure at the present moment. Here's the pack involving Marzucchi. He's the Pied Piper of this 3-car train involving himself, Michelle Lynn, and Brian Szynski. So running a pretty good race. All of these racers are. Michelle Lynn looking for back-to-back wins in the Spec 2 category after winning last time out at the Saxon Ring. Feel like we can't even talk about any of the other racing going on, though, considering these drivers are just not giving us any single time to breathe. Colicio with another monstrous run down into turn number 1, trying to find any way in the book to get back up into the race lead. I wonder if he gets side by side with Felix Samoas, if he's maybe going to show the driver of the number 31 car slightly less concessions than he would some others after the incident involving those two that really sent Colicio back in the first place. Obviously nothing intentional from Samoas' side of things, but intentional or otherwise, if that falling anvil still strikes you on the head, you're going to wind up with a headache and you won't be happy about it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not going to be a good day for you at all if something like that happens, and you definitely need to try to, as we were talking on the run-up there a little bit, you need to make passes, but you also need to know when to let other people by you and stuff as well. And we're seeing a lot of that going on out there into T1 and into many of the corners here, but definitely mostly into T1. You kind of, seems like they sort of go out there and they go, okay, let's figure it out into T1, and then I'll follow you around until we get back down the straight, and then we'll figure it out again into T1. And that's sort of what keeps happening every lap here. And to be honest, you kind of have to do that, right? Or you're going to not be able to keep the speed up. You sort of have to leapfrog each other into T1. And if you do it just right, you can actually gain time, and you'll find, you'll look up and go, wow, that's the fastest lap time I've done in a week around here because they're playing ball with me. But if it doesn't go that way, then you end up just losing time, and everybody starts catching up to you, and you have an 11-car train, and by the end of the race, you have a serious problem on your hands, which we're kind of getting into a little bit now as we're catching some more lap traffic here on going 3 wide, 4 wide again.
At this point, this sight of drivers going 3 wide is nothing surprising. It's still tense, though. It's going to be some 4 wide action. Look at Nate Colacio, ever the opportunist in the 8th car, trying to pick off for a 3-for-1 deal down to turn 1. And it looks like he'll be able to do it successfully with a monstrous run on exit. Well done to Colacio, the opportunist in the number 8 car. Getting that move done. It's now going to be a heads-up fight for the final podium spots. Still with about 6 minutes left to go in this race, and a lot left to be played for.
Yeah, absolutely. Just looking at Chris Montgomery here as well, been able to put in a really decent performance today in 6th. Just kind of lingering around here, you know, he's totally capable of getting a podium or even a win today here, depending on what happens in front of him. So, as I was saying before, sometimes this is sort of the best position to be in. You know, you're not really expecting a whole bunch. You're like, okay, I'm in 6th place. I don't usually get a podium, but I can totally get one today if I just sort of play my cards right and hang out here. Maybe something will present itself for me. And, you know, the number 33 here might just have that happen for him if he plays his cards just right. It is pretty squirrely out in front of him, and if you can just kind of breathe and take her easy, you might be able to, you know, it might not even be a crash. You might just be able to monopolize on something that happens. So I like this position that Montgomery's in. It's kind of my favorite place to be sometimes.
Yeah, I feel like this is a good spot for Chris Montgomery in the 33 car, and harkening our minds back to all the way through to the summer of last year at the end of season 3 of 2024 here from the Formula V Weekend Warriors. Chris Montgomery, as a Spec 2 driver at that point in time, was able to grab the win overall just because he was patient in a race at the Lime Rock Classic, which, if anyone has ever seen one of these Formula V races at the Lime Rock Classic layouts, those are classic races. They put on some brilliant racing action. Doing the same here at VIR, though, yet again 3 wide, this time through turn number 1, so they are not single filing out. These drivers seeing that checkered flag come up in the not too far off future, and they're starting to break their elbows out, going for some more aggressive moves than they probably would have done in the earlier stages. Colacio holds onto the race lead, Felix Samoa slide in second, Ethan Tortolo, Jason Green rounding out the top 5 as it stands at the present moment. And looking through these drivers and how this season has gone up to this point, we have not had a repeat winner thus far, as I think there may have been something. Oh, there's something. That's Jason Grider, right as I was saying that the driver of the 552 car was dropping down like a rock thrown into a pond. That's what happened down into turn number 1. May need to load up a replay, because that, I think, was some extracurricular activity gone desperately wrong.
Yeah, I think we caught sort of the tail end of that too, Ron, so there was a bit of contact before. It looks like maybe we're going to see a bit of either. Let's see here. We got a... Okay, so we got one car off the road, and then a bit of a reaction to it, I believe, from the other, not really knowing what to do about that. And unfortunately, Jason Grider getting the short end of the stick on that one.
That's unfortunate for Grider. Finds himself in P19 at the present moment, effectively in no man's land for the final couple of laps of this race. But looking back up at the front of the field and raising the point that I was mentioning before we had that moment for Grider and some others down into turn number 1, we have yet to have a repeat winner thus far this season, as we see coming into the pits of Jeff Jacobson. He was a lap car right in front of these drivers, and he goes down pit lane just to get out of harm's way. The sportsman.
Oh, tore the inside.
Jacobson, look at Tortolo threading the needle down onto the inside. Holy cow, he nearly hit the starter stand and all of that, but he's going to jump his way back up to the front of the field. Tolo in that one car won last time at Saxon Ring, and he's looking to do it yet again here at VIR.
Wow, what a move at the inside there. I was kind of just caught that out of the corner. He's slipping his way, almost had to take into the sort of the crosshatch there on the pit exit to get that move done. We'll see if we can't get a replay of that, because it was pretty darn sweet. But yeah, taking some risks there up the inside. Holy cow. Let's see if we can't get a look at that.
Yeah, let's take a look at this moment, because holy cow. This is Tolo riding on board with him.
Whoa.
He decided not to lift, running all the way through into the pit entry and nearly hitting the grass on the inside. The pit exit, I should say. My apologies. Either way, holy cow. full commitment, full bravery from Tolo. He just licked the stamp and sent it. Here's another angle. Gets that move done on Ethan Orr. He's got Samoas and Coliseo side by side. And he's like, you know what? Screw it. 3 wide. Let's see how this works. Worked out well for him, so that's going to be good news if you are toward Tolo. But he's now got to find himself. There's no good position to find yourself in towards the end of this race. Doubly so considering the white flag is going to be in the air this time by touching back on the point I've been trying to raise, that these drivers really haven't given me the opportunity to raise. The drivers running up at the front, the only ones who have grabbed the victory thus far, it's just Tortello. That's all. Felix Samoas, Ethan Orr, Nate Coliseo, Chris Montgomery, and Jason Green yet to grab a win thus far this season. However, they're all going to have some prime opportunities to do it. Look at Alan DeGas as your Masters leader running right in tow. The white flag is in the air, and it's going to be Felix Samoas taking that white flag. The real question is, will he get that checkered? If that's a preview of the finish, I'm not sure if my heart and my vocal cords could take it. Still, 3 wide, heading off through turn number 1. Tolo holding onto that inside line. Samoa's in the middle. Ethan Orr in the 22 car trying to sweep his way around the outside. Not close enough. He's going to get hung out to dry on exit. Down to turn number 2 and 3 for the last time. It's side by side still. Nate Coliseo, he's going to be a driver that I want to keep my eyes on in the number 8 machine. He may be the one to pound. We've seen some bravery from him thus far, making it 4 wide and having some monumental runs heading down that start-finish straightaway. If he can time it well coming out of Hog Pen, he is going to be smelling like a bed of roses. Some slight defensive racing going on involving Chris Montgomery and Alan DeGas right in the back of tow. Those two battling for 6th and 7th out there on the racetrack, but Samoas leading the field, heading off through turn number 7 into the tight twisties for the final time. As much as the draft not going to help you out at all in this section, you still don't want to mess up. A trip through the grass at this point in the race, that is not going to go over well. That will not be a race-winning strategy. These are the important corners of this race. Down into roller coaster for the last time. This is usually the spot where you see last-second overtakes at VIR, but on this north layout, that move is going to get done down that start-finish straightaway. And these draft-heavy Formula Vs, I have a feeling we're going to get deja vu. We've seen some photo finishes in the past. I think we're setting up for another good one now. Felix Samoas leads them coming out of the final corner, but all of them are going to pounce on him. First is Tolo, second is Coliseo. Look at that. Ethan Orr trying to get moved done as well. It's a side-by-side photo finish between Samoas and Tolo right at the end of this race. Jason Green looking to get the move done as well.
I have no idea who got that.
Across the line, and I think that may have potentially been Tortello winning it.
We got Tortello winning it by, I mean, that was so unbelievably close, Ron. I think that might be our closest race yet, at least between 3 or 4 cars all up at the front there. Let's see if we can't get back to a couple more here. S2 winner Michelle Lynn crossing the line as well. Nick, it's hard to keep up to all the action out there. Alan DeGas is taking the win in Masters class, but up at the front, Tortello there. What an amazing finish here at the end. We'll see if we can't get a bit of a better angle on it.
Holy crap-oly. That was a brilliant finish at the end of this race. I thought it was going to be a 3-wide fight right to the line. And granted, it was, but just barely. Holy cow. That was incredible. Tolo, he probably got that by a matter of inches. Not the first time he's won in a photo finish here in the Formula V. Certainly not the first time he's won in a photo finish at this track in the Formula Vs either. I don't know what it is about Tor. He always gets the nose when it comes to these squeakers of finishes. And yet again, let's look at this. Holy cow.
Wow, I'm so glad I paused it right there. That was, I got it. Wow, yeah, that's literally by a nose. We got a little bit of paint out ahead of Felix Samoas there. So, wow, what an awesome race, Ron. Great driving up at the front, you know, although we cursed a couple people there. It was a really clean race, really hard to keep up on all the action, so I do apologize if I missed some near the back of the field, but such a small course with so many cars. Wow, what a great race today.
That was absolutely brilliant from start to finish. Holy cow. Credit where credit's due. Something happened to Alan DeGas at the end of that race. He dropped down from, I believe he was on P7 on that white flag to finishing 10th at the end. So caught up in all the smoke and drama, DeGas went off the circuit. This is heading down into turn number 14, and yeah, double whammy. Hit the back of Jason Green, and then gets hit by the front of Chris Montgomery. So that's going to be an unfortunate moment for DeGas. Still going to walk away with the Masters win at the end of all of this, but could have been so much better. The top 10 still nonetheless, I don't think you'll mind it one bit, but That's a typical Formula V incident, having to carry the momentum around some of the corners in cars like this. You just have that happen from time to time. Unfortunate, but hey, it's racing. What can you do? But still, what a race. What a finish.
Yeah, amazing finish there. Yeah, and I think you're right. Just a bit of an accordion in front of him there, and he sort of tripped over, trying, desperately not to run into Jason Green, which unfortunately, him and it looks like we actually have some cars burning it down here. I almost forget about this every time. But yeah, it just looked like he kind of tripped over it a little bit there, trying not to end that race. But then, didn't give himself a chance to be able to actually be there at the end. They may have had a chance, to do some drafting there, but unfortunately were taken out before that chance. But really great race. Holy cow, what a finish at the end. Good driving all around.
Absolutely fantastic here at VIR North. Yet again, this track, I don't know what it is. Maybe there's something in the water with the hotels around here, but it just puts on a barn burner every single time we run around here. As we're going to see Marzuki. And it's a shot into the runoff area through turn 7, bang into the wall. He's going to be joined by Brian Szynski. Oh, I think, okay, whoa, okay, how about this?
Oh, here we go.
Not really sure what happened there. I thought we just saw teleportation, which I think we might have. There is a bit of that wall which is not there, so if you do, you can kind of see the change in texture. You hit that area, and you're going to get sent into the shadow realm. I don't think anyone has done that quite yet, but we may end up seeing it. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? If it can happen, it will happen here at the Weekend Warriors for sure. We will find all of the little pit holes in the track and everything else there for sure, because that's just the kind of league we are here for sure. We're going to be out there and we're going to find absolutely everything at the end of the race. Looks like we're still smashing into stuff. And you can see the invisible wall there, the cardboard cutout of the forest that's not actually there. And we love stuff like this at the end for sure. So, we'll send out racing some stuff every once in a while when we maybe find a bit of an anomaly on the track, and that's what we're here for.
Yeah, I think next time I'm on an iRacing official show, whenever that may be, I have to just be like, hey, iRacing, if you're tuning into this broadcast, you need to play these clips from this this race, because holy cow, it's the Weekend Warriors put on the best racing, and then there's some vehicle physics at the end of this end of these races during the Crash 'em Up Wreckfest at the end that genuinely make me laugh to the point where I'm worried that a blood vessel's gonna burst in my eye. So I don't really know what it is, but it's just it's something. All right, that is for certain, but I think we have some drivers waiting off in the interview waiting area, so I think we'll do this how we were going to be doing it a couple of weeks ago, and I think we'll start off with the interviews and then probably wrap up with results. So I think, Josh, I've got some stuff to take care of on my end, so I'll pass it off to you to take the first interview. Who you want to chat with?
Let's see if we can't pull in Szynski here from I believe, what was that? Did he take the S2 second place in S2?
And today's sponsor.
And today's sponsor as well. Brian, how's it going, man? Thank you so much for today's sponsor here. Obviously, we need sponsors like yourself to be able to put these races on. Got second place today in S2. How did it feel out there?
It felt all right. It felt very boring for most of the race because we got put ourselves in our own little island between groups and just hung around trying to get a last lap pass done. Didn't happen. Shout out to Mark Richardson, who runs Formula V Ingenuity. He just had a fellow Weekend Warrior driver, Jacob Schilling, in a driver's school car last weekend at Black Hawk.
Excellent. That's awesome, man, for sure. You guys are out there doing some real racing and stuff from weekend and week out. Do you have anything on the schedule coming up in the real world racing soon?
The first weekend in May, I'm doing my first race of the year at Black Hawk. I'm about to get in a truck to go get the trailer with my vintage car and Dan's vintage car. Dump Dan's car in his garage, so I have room to get my car out and the other car in there and have it inspected, ready to go for, I think, 10 days from now.
Awesome. That's amazing. I'm jealous. I wish, my area, unfortunately, out here in Canada, not a whole lot of racetracks around me. Tons of snow, lots of bush, lots of mountains, not so many racetracks. But VIR, not really my favoriteest track in the whole world. We were talking on the run-up beforehand. It's kind of like a smaller layout of VIR, but seems to almost have all the same elements that the full layout has. Is this kind of one of your favorite tracks, or maybe not so much?
Yeah, I really like this track in a V. Even the North course I believe that's what this one was today. It's a good V track. There's a long straightaway, so you can get the draft working, but a lot of technical stuff too. And I'm just happy I could hang in there, because the last 3 races I did, I was fighting for the lead, but not at the end. So I was just concentrating on being in there for the last lap and having a shot at it. And congratulations, Michelle.
Yeah, for sure. Congrats to Michelle up front. Yeah, we were saying on the run up here with so many cars, and this place is pretty tight and small. It's going to be kind of a battle of staying alive out there too, making sure you know when to pass somebody and when to let somebody past you. But good second place here today. Is there anybody you'd like to thank out there?
Thank you guys, everybody at SMB, and Stevie, everybody at Weekend Warriors for making all this happen. Shout again, Mark Richardson, Formula V Ingenuity, for all your Formula V needs. Shout out to Dan and family watching at home.
Awesome. Thank you so much for today's sponsorship there, Brian. We can't do it without drivers like you out there, and obviously massive thank to all the admins and stuff as well. And great podium today, man. We'll see you next week.
Thanks. Cheers.
And that right there was Brian Szynski, your P2 finisher in the Spec 2 category and our sponsor of today's broadcast. And we're going to continue on with the interviews, and I will drag in our winner. And that is Tor Tullo now joining us here in the commentary booth. Tor, I don't know what it is with you and photo finish, but you always get the nudge out. Did you give the iRacing God some sort of bribe a couple of years ago?
Yeah, I think just like basically my entire salary for like the next 20 years, it seems like. Every single time I seem to get really lucky, but yeah, it was a wonderful race. It was my first time being able to battle Felix, and as usual, the other guys. It was just a boatload of fun.
Yeah, it looked like a whole lot of fun out there. As I have coined it in the past, the game of Formula V Leapfrog. Definitely strong hang down that start-finish straightaway. You don't usually think of a track as tight and twisty as this one as being one that's such a hotbed for slipstreaming action, but every single time we run around here, it's usually a bit of a slipstream fest. Would you agree with that statement, or...?
Oh, absolutely. But weirdly enough, it's also still kind of hard to pass in a way, because once there's like a group of 3 up in front, they just block the track, and there's not much you can do, and you got to get really creative with your overtakes. So you still got to qualify in like the top 6 to be actually right at the sharp end. But yeah, always a great track, some great photo finishes in the past seasons. So much fun.
I swear, someday, I'm gonna have it in like my iRacing official broadcast contract that I need to have a clip from one of these Formula V races put onto the iRacing top 10 highlights. I mean, the finish from Summit Point last year ended up on the social pages, and I was frankly quite disappointed when I saw that there wasn't a Formula V clip on the season, whatever the hell, the top 10 highlights that just came out a couple of days ago. But nevertheless, these races are always such a hoot from my perspective in the commentary booth. I'm sure from your perspective behind the wheel, definitely very exciting. But we're going to be heading to a completely different track, Lebanon, in 1 week's time. Two questions, one of which being the regular, what are you looking forward to in that race? And the second one, will you and Jason try and avoid each other this time?
Well, yeah, I mean, my luck hasn't been great in these past seasons in Lebanon, but I love it as a track, and I love battling there. It's a very one-line circuit, but it really pushes you to the edge and really makes you try and get creative for the overtakes. So yeah, as long as Mr. JG2, I'm talking to you, doesn't take a bite out of my backside again, then yeah, we're all good. Looking forward to it.
I feel bad for saying that, and Jason, hey, if you're watching this broadcast back and the highlights for the Racing Line podcast, I love you, buddy. That was just a softball. I had to swing at that, but Tor, thank you for joining us here in the commentary booth. And before we let you go and celebrate back-to-back wins upon returning here to this series, is there anybody you want to give a thanks to or shout out?
First and foremost, a big thank you to Brabham Motorsport, and just want to say a big thank you to the rest of the Weekend Warriors crew. And yeah, to you guys, Slow Motion Broadcasting.
Awesome, man. Well, we appreciate the kind words and well done on the win out there on the racetrack here at VIR. Excited to see you back out on the racetrack for the rest of the season, man. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And that right there was Tortello, your winner in the Spec 1 category at the end of this race. And Josh, who do you want to have a chat with?
Yeah, let's see if we can't pull in. Let me see. I've talked to Michelle Lynn a bunch of times. Let's pull in Ethan Orr, and then we can wrap it up maybe with Michelle Lynn after that.
Alrighty.
Ethan, great race out there today. Really super tight track here at VIR North. Is this kind of one of your favorite tracks there, one you enjoy, or maybe not so much?
I never really feel too comfortable around here, actually. It's fun, but yeah, it's pretty dicey out there for me.
Yeah, we were saying on the run-up, this place feels like it's kind of a smaller layout of VIR, but it sort of almost has all the elements that the full layout of VIR has. Not really one, but some of these school layouts can be not so good. This one's races pretty well, and it looked like out there it was just back and forth every single lap. Maybe you can tell us exactly how you survive something like that, letting people by when you need to, passing them when you don't, that sort of thing.
Yeah, the main thing is just you don't want to be alongside into the S's. If basically every lap, if someone was alongside me into the S's and I felt like I wasn't going to make it, I'd let them go, because you can lose the draft so easily going 2x2 under there. But other than that, if you're outside the top 3, it's actually pretty hard to pass here, because they just go 3 wide, block the whole track, and you've got all that overspeed, but there's nowhere to go. So, just sit behind who you think is going to get the better run through turn 1 and hope it works out for you, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. That's kind of what it looked like. I was mentioning actually during it. It's pass into T1, sort it all out, stay in a file all around again till T1, and then pass into T1 again. And it kind of looked like that's what was going on out there. And you sort of have to do that to sort of keep the pace up, I think, from the cars behind you, or they end up catching up to you and you just got a worse problem on your hands. But it looked like you guys sorted it out really good. You're nice and clean out there today. Definitely keys to the race, keeping it clean, and you were able to come out with a podium. So great great podium today. And I believe we're headed to Lebanon next week. That one should be, one of my favorite tracks. We were just talking to Tor, saying, it's kind of a one-line racetrack there. You really have to have done, and really kind of forces you to push it. Is that one of your favorite tracks too, or one you struggle with?
Yeah, super technical track. I like it, besides that blind left-hander, But
yeah, totally.
That, really
yeah, there's definitely a few out there. Right on, man. Well, good podium today. Is there anybody you'd like to thank out there, Ethan?
You guys for putting on the show, and everyone at home for watching, and Weekend Warriors for putting on a great race. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ethan, and we'll see you next week. Have a good Easter.
See ya.
And that right there was Ethan Orr joining us in the commentary booth. And we're going to wrap things up having a quick chat with Michelle Lynn, our Spec 2 winner for the second week in a row. Michelle, welcome into the booth and well done on the win here at VIR. Happy to talk us through it.
Hey guys, today, this is like I've spoken to you about this track before, like it's somewhere I've raced in real life, and I tend to be like overconfident at those tracks. So today I was like making a point to kind of just dial back, and last night in the draft party, I came in second, Guido won, but we were working together and it was a really good run. So today it ended up that I had Guido and Brian, and the three of us were working together. We were leapfrogging down the street trying to catch that front pack. And when the front pack would battle, we'd gain a little bit. But then when they'd behave, they were pulling on us. So we just kind of we were in our own little world. And up until the last lap, we were working together. And then it was, good luck. And we kind of just finished where we were at that point. But it was a really good race. It's really good when you get to run a race surrounded by people that you trust. It just makes the whole race that much more enjoyable.
Yeah, I think usually from my perspective, being a little bit different, I can kind of just see how drivers like yourself and everyone else out there on the track is tackling this race. And I don't know why, whenever we run here, I get a sense that the drivers, despite being a little bit nervous about having to do well, they still enjoy this track. I've mentioned a lot throughout this show that it's somewhere where we visited a lot over the past couple of seasons. So it just feels like everyone likes this place for some inexplicable reason.
Yeah, it's a fun track, especially for the Vs, and I really like Jim made me a believer in using the North course for the Vs. It just races better than the full course. Not that I mean, I like Oak Tree, it's a great turn, but with that giant back straight, the pack just stays like too tight. You end up getting a lot of like kind of silly moves into the roller coaster that way. So when you run the North course, things are a little bit more behaved on that short back section. So it's just a great track for the Vs.
Yeah, and from my perspective as well in the commentary booth, it just puts on good racing season in and season out. It's going to be running a different track in the form of Letting On in 1 week's time. That is going to be about as far removed geographically and otherwise as we can get from here. Still going to be a good race, though.
If you say so. I'm not expecting much. I hate that track. And I'm fully expecting to get crashed out or crash out myself or like spin in that last corner before the main straight. I don't know. I just don't tend to do well there. So I've got 3 wins this season. I'm happy with that. And next week I'll take the L. So we'll see.
So here's the thing, Michelle. Columbia School of Broadcasting, which I did not go to, I barely make enough money to afford Greek yogurt. They taught me a very good lesson, and that is make sure the viewers always think they're getting some fantastic racing. So that's going to be a wonderful race in 1 week's time at Let It On.
Yeah. Okay.
And so
I'm going to give it 110%. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Nice.
Yeah, it's certainly a racetrack to be sure. But Michelle, thank you for joining us here in the commentary booth. And before we let you go, is there anybody you want to give a thanks to or shout out?
I want to thank Guido and Brian for being great run partners today. Thank Jim for the track selection and Stevie for all he does, and just everyone for being a great group of people to race with. And of course, thank you to SMB for the awesome job that you guys do.
Thank you.
And we will always appreciate the kind words, Michelle. Thank you for joining us here in the commentary booth. I'm excited to see you back out on the racetrack, maybe going for 4 wins this season at Let It On in 1 week's time. You never know.
Never know. All right. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
And that right there was Michelle Lynn, series admin in the Formula V Weekend Warriors and our winner here in Spec 2. And I think with that being said, let's take a look at the results at the end of this race here today. Finishing in first for the second week in a row is going to be Tortolo Felix Samoas, finishes in second, only 19 thousandths of a second, the gap between those two at the end. Ethan Orr finishes just a tick behind in third. Nate Coliseo finishing in fourth, with Jason Green rounding out our top 5. The top 5 covered by a tick over 1/10 of a second after over 30 minutes of racing action. Some fantastic stuff here from the Formula Vs. We have Chris Montgomery finishing in 6th, Guido Marzuki in 7th. Michelle Lynn wins it in the Spec 2 category, finishing in 8th. Brian Zazinski will end up right behind in 9th, with Alan DeGassis, our Masters winner, running out our top 10.
Yeah, and then right behind Alan DeGassis, we've got Parvinder Ladar, Kurt Nunez in P12, Michael Laturo in P13. Nick Tallo, good performance from him today there. It was pretty bit of a scrum back there for him as well, in 14th place and in 3rd, I believe, in Masters. Joshua Flores in 15th, Travis Rail in 16th, Hank Mille in 17th, Scott Brayler in 18th place. And if this thing will advance for me, it won't advance for me. Oh, and there we go.
There's the WD-40.
In 19th place, we have Jason Grider. In 20th place, we have series staple and every single week, Wayne Buttermore. We love seeing you out there, Wayne, every week. Awesome to have you around. Wayne Buttermore in 20th. Jim Brewster, series admin, in 21st, helping us out in the background. Chris Scriven 22nd. Jason Bedwin in 23rd. 24th is Jeff Jacobson. I believe he had some issues out there today. Brian Hansen in 25th. 26th is Tomas Puda. Is that right? Pauda? In 27th, we have Dan Trzynski. In 28th, Mario Picon. Let's see if we can get this thing to work this time. 28th, Frederick Dumont. Jesus Rodriguez, bit of a falling anvil today. in 30th. Trenton Kramer showing up in 31st, so he definitely had some issues out there jetting off the course. We never did get back to that. I'll see if maybe we can't figure out what happened. And Russell Telker in 32nd.
And that's going to round out your results here from the 5th round of the Formula V Weekend Warriors season. This race here at VIR North, it never disappoints. And yet again, another brilliant race here at VIR. But we got an oddball in the form of Let It On coming up in just 1 week's time. We're actually going to take a look to see this moment from Trent Kramer going off the track like an Exocet missile through into Hog Pen. And there we go, and bang into the wall. That was, I said, like, holy cow, he just went off at what felt like 1,000,000 miles an hour. So clearly the driver of the number 20 car running into some extracurricular difficulties, hit the curb, and
just a
we
bad
are
bounce.
done. There we go.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate for Trent. Easy mistake to make at the bottom end of the circuits, but that's what happened to Kramer, and that is how things are going to shake out at the end of this race. So I think previewing Let It On in 1 week's time, it's a track that you either love or hate. It's kind of like Marmite, and despite the fact it's not from the land down under, it's still going to be a good one, I feel, in 1 week's time. A more strategic style of racing than you usually see with the Draft Fest that the Formula V's usually put on. Josh, I know you're a fan of that place, so final thoughts before we head off to that racetrack.
Yeah, I like that track. It's technical. I tend to like the kind of more technical ones, maybe until I don't, if that makes any sense. But I really do like Let It On so far. It's raced pretty well. I find it a pretty cool challenge and stuff. So looking forward to that one. Not exactly sure how it will plan out in the V's, but we shall see next week. I'm expecting more close finishes, Ron.
Yeah, looking forward to the rest of the season. It is going to be some fun here on SMB. And hey, that doesn't even do it for the racing action here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, because we have got you absolutely booked just about week in and week out. We've got the action from the Tuesday night series, the American Muscle Series, those old-fashioned Mustangs. They put on some absolutely brilliant races. Only a couple more races left to go for them this season, but you can catch that action Tuesdays at 9:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's the action on Tuesdays. On Wednesdays, you can catch the action from the Sim Racers Group Intermediate F4 Championship. They're running at 9:45 p.m. Those races are usually a hoot. You can catch Kenan Miller and J.R. Gregory on the comms for that series. Then come time for the weekends, we've got you booked with the Weekend Warriors. These Formula V's you can catch at 3:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on Saturdays. Then for the Formula Fords at 1:45 and the Spec Racer Fords at 3:45. That won't even do it for the action on Sundays, mind you, as on Sundays at 8:10 p.m. we have got the action from XSLR. They're just towards the end of the dirt road section, just towards the end of the dirt section period. You'll be seeing some asphalt racing action with the 87 Cup cars and some GT3s throughout the rest of this summer. And hey, you may want to stay tuned for that, because you may potentially see me out there on the racetrack in the coming weeks. Who knows? I will not reveal my secrets just yet. And yeah, Josh, I believe you'll be out there on track this upcoming week, potentially. And that gives you more of a reason to subscribe here to Slow Motion Broadcasting so you never miss out on any of the racing action. And hey, before you click off YouTube and before you click off SMB, happy to take a look at some of the YouTube shorts that we've posted as well. Really appreciate some of the support behind some of those shorts. They've broken 1,000 views on quite a lot of them, so really awesome to see the support over there and just the support on these broadcasts as well. But as for this broadcast for week number 5 of the Formula V Weekend Warriors, I think that will just about do it. And so for myself, Ron Maunz, and Josh Wilkie working the comms and the cams with me on today's broadcast, I say thank you all so very much for watching this broadcast on Slow Motion Broadcasting today, and we hope to see you all wherever it is in the not too distant future.
sort of adventures that it has in store. And pace cars way through the corner. That wasn't the crest doing him dirty.
There right off the beginning. It's something you probably want to monopolize on right away, honestly, in a rain race.
Involved in that as well. Godin, I believe, is a newer racer. Oh, that's a big crash coming out of the corner. Renaissance mentioning all of those racers. That way through the field. We saw him have that off-track moment not terribly long ago, and he has come back from a... And oh my god, that's a big wreck coming out of turn number 4. Multiple cars around. A little bit of contact going to Chris Montgomery as well. I saw that car kind of jerk around a little bit through that corner, but you can see Montgomery maybe got to size up a move on Coliseum, as Coliseum may try and get a move on him. At that is 5-6 cars covered by just about nothing on this racetrack. Nearly 4 wide through the corner. Look at Coliseum going in way deep into turn 5. He's got to lose out on that spot on Chris Montgomery and Coliseum. Too long contact being... Weekly Formula V Weekend Warriors crash him up Wreckfest at the checkered flag. May God have mercy on both Josh and I's graphics cards because the amount of dust